Yeah, absolutely. Television has always served the interest of the government propaganda. It's been that way ever since J. Edgar Hoover and Charlie Chaplin were fighting with each other over how Chaplin should show government officials in his movies. And, you know, we saw that during the McCarthy hearings, the communist witch hunts in Hollywood. What they were really doing was scrubbing out anybody who wasn't willing to make films bashing on the communists to start the Cold War. And we're seeing it now. There are channels like National Geographic last night, heavily propagandistic about 9/11. History Channel's going that way. I used to be a big fan of History Channel. Now I've seen so many shows that are very obviously trying to sell the official government story on stuff. I don't watch them anymore. I'm watching Smithsonian Channel. There's a free plug for them because they're nowhere near as bad as National
I'm
Geographic.
watching WhatReallyHappened.com and Infowars.com. Mike, we'll talk to you again next month. Great job. Good to have you here with us.
Aloha.
Bye con Dios, compadre. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us. The FBI video straight ahead. Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central. That's 12 noon to 4 p.m. We are here live. And in this short segment, the next segment, I wanted to first go over this FBI internal Quantico training video that they also distribute to police and to the now 400,000 strong domestic army force that is being reported on by the Progressive and the Hill newspaper. In fact, I'll show that again to everybody here on TV who's watching us at prisonplanet.tv. If you're a radio listener, just Google the term, the Pentagon wants authority to post almost 400,000 military personnel in the U.S. for domestic operations to, quote, engage the American people. And the Army Times first reported this last year as 20,000, well, first 4,000, then 20,000, now 400,000. And we cover this in the upcoming film, Camp FEMA. So this is happening. And when we broke the Homeland Security report and the Mayak report, the reason the police and a federal marshal in the other case sent it to us is they were so upset. They teach them in there the number one threat is gun owners and veterans. And that's true. You're not going to accept 80+% taxes. You're not going to accept all this tyranny. And so they knew they would sell you on Homeland Security in the name of foreigners or brown people using racism. But the whole time with the John Warner Defense Authorization Act, all of it, even under Bush, it was all set up, and the training manuals, we've been breaking these for years, were all about gun owners, conservatives, landowners, people that won't go along with this. So you wonder why when you go through the TSA, why you take your shoes off, why they only have liquids. It's an act of submission. Make you take your shoes off, an act of supplication, an act of answering questions. People who've never been asked questions, people who don't see themselves as criminals. This is teaching you you are a criminal. And in England, they now have squads that ask you questions on the side of the road. It's happened to me. It's happened to the Watson brothers who work for us, who live in England. It happened to a Wall Street Journal writer, Sarah McBride, who was here. She repeatedly had them come up and ask her, you know, if she was bad. This is about letting you know that you live in East Germany. So we have all of that going on. But I want to just play this tape and go through how it creates this atmosphere of fear. You know, the one lady they talked to, she's photographing a dam. She's a terrorist. She's got scuba gear. It turns out she's guilty, but they're going to let her go and put her in the terrorist database. Okay? And this local officer is going under federal control in this video. He's now part of this federal/global Interpol system. So there's all these different layers to this. And now you wonder why I mean, I've been in D.C. I challenge anybody. You go to D.C., you're 200 yards away from the Washington Monument, videotaping it. They come over and say, turn your cameras off. There's no law. We just think you might be a terrorist. And they harass Boy Scout troops and tourists. It's about letting you know that you're a slave. It's about breaking your back. It's about letting you know you're dominated. It's about letting you know you live in a police state. Local San Antonio news tried to go down to the new NSA base, taking over the internet. Quote, killing the internet to save the internet. And the feds come off base and threaten to arrest them and grab their camera. This is the new America, where the military runs your life just like Guatemala or Nazi Germany. Bill would give presidency emergency control over the internet and create a new group of private IT officials that work for the government. Just like under Infraguard, with the FBI recruiting 55,000 executives with shoot-to-kill orders over their employees. And they now are going to control all the private networks, and so you can't have a network unless the Imperium, the commissariat, the political police give you the authorization. And all this national news has been calling for my arrest and for people putting up Obama posters saying fascist or socialist. You know, here's the local paper outside Austin, freedom of hate speech. And they say there's not a law against putting these up in Hays County, but there should be. Alex is evil. See, this is the new Sovietization. So we're going to go to break and come back and play most of this little 13-minute training video. I'm going to stop and make a few comments during it. Then I'm going to get into a full breakdown of how the feds operate, how the globalists operate, how they're demonizing militias, how they're infiltrating militias, how they're creating militias, which then the feds direct to do violent things. They find unstable people. We're going to explain the MO of purely provocateur staged events by the feds and private mercenary groups we know they're using, and foreign governments are also here in the U.S. Israeli and British intelligence have been caught involved. We told you years ago Cheney had private hit teams in the U.S. Now it's been declassified because this current CIA director doesn't want to go to prison for it. And we're going to walk through how in every case, when they find out that an entire Klan group is founded and run by the feds, every white supremacist group run and founded by the feds, this is to radicalize political discourse inside the United States and to get us all infighting with each other. And I want to warn the feds that are part of this and the private mercenary groups that are part of this. You're going to be hung out to dry by your bosses, just like Hal Turner, who they admit was their informant, but now they're sending him to prison for making the threats too loud and too bold. They will set you up just like Lee Harvey Oswald and Tim McVeigh.